Welcome back to On the Flip Side. My name is Adam Shellwalker, your host. Today we've got Phoenix, Arizona-based Goregrind band Fluids with their new album Ignorance Exalted. It's been out for a little while now, but I think this band deserves some extra coverage. I think they're one of the bands out there that's pushing the limits of where metal can go and where you can push those subgenres, as this Goregrind project is really impressive and really disgusting, and I think it's really interesting as well. And you should too. And we're going to cover it today, and we're going to give it a listen, and I think that you guys would be surprised with the quality of this Goregrind record. I used to not be so much into Goregrind myself, or grind in general, but over the past few years it's grown on me quite a bit, and I think more people should give it a chance, as I know that when I first started listening to this stuff, I didn't really give it too much credit. I kind of thought it was a bit weak. But nowadays, looking on in the past, and looking onto the future, you have Fluids, and these guys are really pushing that envelope, and they are absolutely worthy of your time. We're going to get into it right now. We'll see you on the flip side. We have side one of the record with Extorted, Coerced, Capped, and Redacted. First track of the album, Extorted, has this really huge, bassy, glitched out intro with this really interesting sample of like a police officer on trial for extortion charges and criminal charges in New York City. It's a really dark concept, and I really like it with the theme of this year and how things have gone. I think it's a really interesting and bold move on Fluid's part for including this sample in here. Once the sample is over, you kind of get this pitch down delivery of the final line of the police officer in the song, and then this just instant hit of brutality, and it is crushing. They are not holding back any stops on this track. This track also features a really interesting sort of glitched out guitar solo. I don't know what effects they're using on this thing, but it really just draws your ear to that instrument right there. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff going on in the background, but like the guitar tone is so impressive on this thing, and it's such a complete sound, you know. This track is really impressive, and I believe that it's definitely the best choice for an album opener here, as it's got so much, it's packing a hard punch. The second track on the record we have is Coerced, kind of a continuation of where we left off. It's more battering on the senses with low tunes, sort of chugging of death and mayhem. Not as much to say on this one, as it kind of just keeps tempo. Not a bad thing, but I definitely think that it is just kind of maintaining that energy that the first track decided to build up. The third track, Capped, really great track here. I mean, as the title of this track is suggesting, this is a music that someone just shoots you in the back of the head to. The drums on this track alone just sound so goddamn massive that it's like, if you were to listen to this, or if you were to play this, I mean, it sounds like they're trying to bring down a city block just sonically. Like, this record, based on these three tracks so far alone, is an act of violence. The last track on side A we have is Redacted. It's kind of more chugging right out of the gate, a little slower tempo, but still just as aggressive. I'd say not as good as the last track, however, definitely it's lending itself to the whole concept of this album just being as absolutely like slamming brutal as it possibly can be. That about does it for side A. We're going to do it with side B here in just a second. We'll see you on the flip side, alright? Okay, we're back with side 2. We've got the tracks Quartered, Chunked, Hammered, and Smothered. So first off, on side B we've got Quartered. It has a really similar bass intro to Extorted on side A, with more sampling and bass leading up to like a breakdown. This time the sampling almost sounds kind of like a man's getting assaulted or something. It's all in Spanish, so I'm really not sure what exactly it is, but I imagine it's probably pulled from just like some live leak video or something. After you get this sample, you have this really big, like, nuclear blast of sounds. It's very similar to Extorted on side 1, which is more chugging and just kick drum and guitar work in between the two that are just absolutely crushing everything in their path. Really great start for side 2 as well. I think that they're kind of going for a formula where each side is almost like maybe mirrored in a way. Track 6 on side B, we've got Chunked, immediately kind of ups the tempo a bit with just more blows of guitar and drums, and it oddly has this kind of groovy cymbal work in it. And it's this guitar solo towards the end of the track, and this guitar work that almost sounds like something straight out of like a Yob song off of like, I don't know, Atma or like Our Raw Heart or something. This album has a lot, despite it being a Goregrind album, this album has a ton of like really doomy like delivery and a lot of doom sensibility on this record, and it's done really well and really tastefully. And it ends, this track ends with this really enormous solo. Like, I don't know how they're getting such a clean guitar solo in this song to work, but it sounds amazing. Like, it's one of the best guitar solos I think I've heard in like, you know, a modern death metal album in quite a while. And I think that's mostly just from how they present it. It's just really, really well done. And it kind of fades off into the next track we have is Hammered. It's definitely, I want to say, the shortest song on the album, but it's easily the grooviest one and like the most infectiously heavy one. Like, if this one gets played live, like there's no doubt this is a mosh pit song, you know? People are gonna kill each other with this. Like, it would fit like right at home in any 80s slasher film. Like, this track is so freaking fun. Like, and it's just right in the middle of this sort of doom Goregrind album, and it's just this really thrashy track, and I love it. It's a great track. The final track on the album is called Smothered. It starts with probably one of these other live leak type samples of like someone getting choked out or maybe choking on their own vomit or something, and it has this like slowly growing and creeping in swell of like bass guitar that leads into the actual intro of the track. That it kind of just hits this huge slow tempo breakdown, and once again you get more of like these doom metal sensibilities right on the end of this track, because this track sounds like it would be like right at home on like a Primitive Man record. It's really, really well done. Overall thoughts on the album: Fluids really started coming around in 2018. I believe they only have this record and one other full-length record and then like a myriad of compilations. But I think they are making some really nice and compelling waves in like the Goregrind genre, or in really just metal as a whole. They're doing interesting stuff, and it's like a really good play on like old death metal, while at the same time just being like really fresh and something that's just nice. Like, this is stuff that has like thought put into it, but like the violence is calculated, you know? Favorite tracks are probably gonna be Extorted, Capped, Quartered, Chunked, and Hammered. The rest of the tracks in this album are all great as well, but I think those ones definitely caught my eye the most. If you have a chance to listen to this album, it is on Spotify. Go ahead and listen to it. It is amazing. Tell me what you think in the comments. Let me know if you hated it or if you loved it. What should I review next? Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the flip side.